Raiders free agency is obviously very important. So throughout this entire show, I'm going to ask you some questions. Please don't be shy. Speak your mind down in the comments. But we got to be able to face the facts here. The Raiders need to crush free agency. And if you're hoping, and if you're a little stitious like me, I want you to go ahead and like the video. Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. Mitchell Renz from Chat Sports. And coming up here on today's show, I'm going to try to give you guys my perfect Las Vegas Raiders 2023 free agency plan. I know at times Josh McDaniels might give us some woes. I also do have a lot of faith in Dave Ziegler. There's a lot of things that can happen. And I'm hoping by making this video, I don't know, maybe they check it out and they can stick to this plan to help out the Raiders win some games next season. So essentially, when you look at Raiders free agency, this video is based on the Raiders moving on from Carr and having over $50 million in salary cap space. As it stands right now, they got about the 9th most in the NFL. You got somewhere around $22 million. So think about when the Raiders move on from D.C., you're going to have a lot extra money and what they need to do with that money looking forward to free agency. So what I'm going to be illustrating here is almost like another 10-step plan. I released a video probably about a week, maybe 2 weeks ago on the Raiders Report of something similar. This, though, is going to be strictly free agency and players that the Raiders essentially need to target. And I'm going to tell you where I'm going to allocate my money and whatnot. So the first thing that you got to do, you got to find a quarterback better than Derek Carr. The moment that you decided to move on from him, the moment that the Raiders decided to bench DC, Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler, that light bulb has to go off and say, well, if we're going to move on from Carr, who is a good quarterback, you better have an option, and you better find somebody that's better than him, or else, I'm sorry, your job is probably on the line. As it stands right now, and I have heard from multiple people, and I've said this for a long time, Tom Brady is plan A right now for the Raiders. If plan A follows through, well, then you're probably going to look at somebody like Jimmy Garoppolo as plan B. And judging by the way Jimmy looks, he probably has used plan B once or twice. Lamar Jackson, though, that's the pipe dream, right? Like, that is you're crossing your fingers, and that's got to fall. Everything has to go perfectly. But that's essentially the quarterbacks that I would be looking for in free agency. Now, number one target, whether you like it or not, the sooner you realize and sooner that you just come to terms with it. I know what the Tuck rule was. It was a long time ago. I care about winning football games, and if Tom Brady helps you win football games, well, then that's what you need to think about. And do I think Brady's an upgrade over Derek Carr? I do. I think right now the current Tom Brady is a better quarterback than DC. I also have confidence that Brady can run the McDaniel system better than DC ever could. So the number one quarterback for the Raiders is Tom Brady. I think it's just the most realistic thing. Before I continue to show you my perfect free agency plan here for the Silver and Black, if you love free agency, and I know we're going to have a lot of, and I mean a lot of crazy experiences this year. When we go live around free agency, it's unlike anything you've ever seen before. So hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, because when the Raiders do sign someone, I don't want you to miss the party that we're going to throw here on the Raiders Report. Let's go to the next thing here on my plan. Bring back Josh Jacobs. I mean, I know I said I wouldn't really talk about some of the current Raiders players, but we got to be able to face the facts. Jacobs is one of the best free agents hitting the market, and number one for the Raiders. Top guy out there, easily the number one running back. I believe that you franchise tag Josh at $10.1 million. Give him the non-exclusive tag, and if you're a little bit confused about franchise tags, I released a video earlier in the week on Monday, I believe it was. Maybe it's Tuesday. Either way, on why you should do this. The reason why you put the non-exclusive tag on Jacobs is because if another team matches the offer, the Raiders get 2 first-round picks. I love Jacobs, but I'll take 2 first-round picks. Even though he's coming off a career year, I don't believe in paying running backs big-time money and long-term extensions, which is why I think the franchise tag does make a lot of sense for him. And the reason why you got to franchise tag Jacobs, and you got to make sure that he stays on this team, is because we can have a lot of debates on who's going to be the next quarterback of the Raiders. Whether it's Tom Brady, whether it's a rookie, whether it's Jarrett Stidham, Aaron, I don't give a shit who it is. You need a good running game. No doubt about it. So having Jacobs helps all the different scenarios that you want to look at. The next thing here for my Raiders free agency plan, you got to get a dominant defensive tackle. I mean, I almost just want to smack my head on this wall because of how many times I said it last offseason, and yet the Raiders, they didn't do anything about it. There are a lot of good defensive tackles, but there are two guys above everybody else. And if you're the Raiders and you got all this money, you want to help Max Crosby, you want to help out Chandler Jones, you want to actually get after the quarterback, the NFL is still one in the trenches. So the number one guy I'm looking at, it's Javon Hargrave. Yeah, he's 29 years old, and maybe the Raiders don't want to go with an older defensive tackle. I'll tell you this, though. At 29 years old, he's still got another 3 good years in him. 60 tackles, 11 sacks, 11 tackles for loss, a forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries. Watch the Philadelphia Eagles play defense. Javon Hargrave is a freaking monster. And if you're going to give me this all, he's too old. Well, guess what? You got another guy who's 25 years old in Daron Payne. Out of Alabama, 64 tackles, 11.5 sacks, 18 tackles for loss. I am so sick and tired of the Raiders' defensive line getting whooped. I am so sick and tired. Quarterbacks, you want the ball? You want it? I just can't do it anymore. You need to get after the quarterback. It's going to help out your secondary. It's going to help out your linebackers. It's going to help out your safeties, everybody. Because I can't watch quarterbacks pick apart this Raiders defense anymore. Those are your top 2 guys that you got to get. So you better get Javon Hargrave or you better get Daron Payne, or else I am going to be, and I can imagine a lot of other Raiders fans are going to be really, really ticked off this year. Now, let's just say McDaniels and Ziegler are like, well, Mitch, we wanted to spend some money elsewhere. Here's your only other option. I think Dalvin Tomlinson is a good player. He's not even, I shouldn't say he's not even close. He's not on the realm of those other 2. Like, for me, those other 2 guys are A-plus signings. Dalvin Tomlinson's a B-plus. If you don't get one of those 2 guys, then, oh, my Lord, you better get him. And then if you don't get all 3 of those, oh, man, I'm going to be one ticked-off dude here on the Raiders Report. Today's show is presented by AG1, and I love this product here. And as you can see, Chuck, he's also pretty interested in it as well. So I'm going to tell you all why I love using AG1. The Raiders Report is sponsored by Athletic Greens. I take AG1 by Athletic Greens literally every day. Get comprehensive and convenient daily nutrition at athleticgreens.com/chatsports. I gave AG1 a try because I wanted immune system support and wanted a supplement that actually tastes great. I take AG1 in the morning and it makes me feel ready to take on my day. My grandma always said, the early bird gets the worm. AG1 inspires and motivates me to get as many worms as possible every day. AG1 really helps me getting my day started. Getting out of bed, especially after some of our watch parties, yeah, man, it can be pretty difficult. I'm a person who likes and needs a routine. AG1 helps me stick to my healthy routine, wake up early, take my AG1, take Chuck for a walk, then hit the gym before work. Covering my nutritional basis for the day literally couldn't be easier, which is why I trust Athletic Greens. I just mix 1 small scoop of AG1 with water and drink it first thing each morning. Done. Easy. Simple. I also like it because it costs less than $3 a day. Pretty good if you ask me. It's a really effective daily habit with the highest quality source ingredients. It's a win-win. If comprehensive solution is what you need for your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/chatsports. That's athleticgreens.com/chatsports. Check it out. The link's going to be available for you guys in the comments and in the description of today's video. I also love it because I've been trying to help out my gut health. I know, as you guys can see, I'm not rocking the 6-pack like I used to. It's a different kind now. Now it's more of a keg. Supports immunity, boosts your energy. I try to bring a lot of energy every day, and I know AG1 is helping me do that. Try it out. I think you're going to really like it. Let's go to the next thing here for our Raiders free agency plan. You got to upgrade the offensive line. If I'm going to sit up here and say, well, we're probably going to get a quarterback that's 46 years old, yeah, you need to upgrade your O-line. But even if he's 46 or if he's a rookie, the Raiders' O-line did play a lot better than what a lot of people give them credit for. Multiple NFL sources out there have said that the Raiders were in the top 15 of overall offensive line. But here's the thing. Look at the Raiders right now depth chart. Colt Miller, he's going to be back. Dylan Parham, he's going to be back. Jermaine Eluemunor, free agent. Alex Bars, even though he stinks, free agent. I also believe that Andre James is a cut candidate because of the amount of money that you're able to save by moving on from him. So 2 out of your 5 offensive linemen, you need to upgrade on it. So I'm going to show you some top offensive tackles, some guards, and centers. And I want to break it down like this because if you're going to have money, you need to know where you spend it. If you're like, all right, Ziegler and McDaniels say, we're going to spend our top dollar on an offensive tackle. You want to spend big? It's Mike McGlinchey. If you're like, well, you're going to try to nickel and dime here a little bit, Kelvin Beachum for like 3 straight years has been really good, and he's a better pass blocker. I'm going to be looking for a right tackle. It's more than likely a better pass blocker, though McGlinchey, he's a hell of a run blocker. And then the sleeper on here is Jermaine Eluemunor. Jermaine Eluemunor has proven to me that him and Carmen Brasillo are a great duo. He was good back in New England. I don't know why he didn't get so much playing time in 2021, but last year Jermaine Eluemunor was a hell of a player. So here are the 3 offensive tackles that I am looking at this upcoming season. Let's go to the offensive guards now. Isaac Seumalo, I can't pronounce it right. He's the guy, though. I have loved him for a long time, and I'm going to try to go back 2 years ago where I said I want the Raiders to trade for this young man here. Ben Powers, another really good offensive guard prospect, and then Andre Dillard, and hear me out on this one. Andre Dillard was drafted in the first round in 2019, 26th overall by the Philadelphia Eagles, but they drafted him as a tackle. And because of the Eagles' offensive line, literally, the Eagles' offensive line first and second string is probably both like a top 10 unit. That's how deep they are in the O-line. In the trenches. That's why they're at where they're at, right? So Andre Dillard, but he did play a little bit of guard this year. So I actually think it could be a sneaky move. These are my top 3 offensive guards I'm looking at. Well then, what about center, right? If I'm going to say you're probably going to move on from Andre James, Ethan Pocic, Connor McGovern, and then Austin Blythe would be there's a tier break here. It's Pocic, clear. Connor McGovern, clear 2. And then this is more just, I got to go bang for your buck. But if I'm being real with you, I would still consider maybe keeping Andre James over Austin Blythe, just because James has proven that he is getting better and better. But if I told you, you could save $5 million by moving on from Andre James, and you could pay somebody like Blythe half that price, and it helps you build a little bit more on the defense. It's something to think about. Blythe also is a better pass blocker than he is a run blocker. So here we go. We're going to keep rocking and rolling here on our perfect free agency plan. You got to find somebody who's solid as an outside cornerback. The Raiders were hopeful that Nate Hobbs could play on the outside, and he still was a above average outside corner, but he was an elite nickel corner, and I'm hoping that the Raiders try to put him back in the nickel this season. But realistically, besides Nate Hobbs, Amik Robertson started to play better. I'm going to give him his credit because he deserves some. Tyler Hall, I also was impressed with. Sam Webb stepped up a little bit, but Rock Ya-Sin, he's going to be a free agent. And then everybody else essentially on that list, I have zero confidence in. So in terms of my top outside corners, if you got to find somebody solid, Jamel Dean's number 1. Jamel Dean is that dude. He's your best cornerback that's going to hit the free agency. James Bradbury, I also pleaded for the Raiders to get last offseason because he looked pretty damn good with Patrick Graham. Go figure, he's second-team All-Pro now in the Philadelphia Eagles. He would fit really well in our system. And then Rock Ya-Sin. Rock Ya-Sin's another name to absolutely keep in mind because when he was healthy, he was good. The injuries are starting to add up, though. He's missed 15 games in the last 3 seasons. We still got half of a plan to go here. I need you to sign a versatile safety. Really important in Patrick Graham's defense is versatility. And most defenses now, they're looking for that special V word, versatility, right? And there's a lot of really, really good safeties in the market, I guess, for free agency. So you got Javon Merrick. That's your guy. Roderick Teamer, restricted free agent. They're going to bring him back, though. Polomeo was really impressed with him. But losing Daron Harmon does hurt a little bit because he was a team captain, and a lot of the people on his birthday a few days ago, said, like, he was a father figure to a lot of those guys. I mean, when you find a player coach, it does. It helps you out a lot. So in terms of my best safety targets, this is how I'm going to go. The top safety that would fit in our system, it's Jesse Bates. And that's more just because I think he's the top safety out there on the market. Best value, Jabril Peppers. What the Raiders tried to do last year with Jonathan Abram is they were trying to find a Jabril Peppers. Peppers had his best year of his career in 2021 with who? Patrick Graham on the New York Giants. He went to New England last year, so there's probably some good communication. And yeah, I'm going to put sleeper down here as Harmon. He's 32 years old. Casey Hayward was 32 years old when the Raiders brought him in. If you can find players that fit your system and you don't have to break the bank on them, I do think that this is a valuable option. If you want to bring in Peppers and Daron Harmon and spend big on offensive tackle, spend big on defensive tackle, yeah, sign me up for that. Well, we got to find another edge. Finding edge rushers is very important. No doubt about it, right? But here's the thing. When you look at the free agency class at edge, the names are a little bit, man. You got Max Crosby, who is our best player. I don't care what anybody says. He's the best player you got on your roster right now. Chandler Jones, he's going to be coming off an injury. Malcolm Kuntz hasn't shown anything thus far. And then everybody else, it's a free agent. So I'm going to get into who the edge rushers that I want the Raiders to go look at. But before I do that, I want to know from all y'all, what's the biggest need on the defensive side of the football? Is it defensive tackle, cornerback, safety, linebacker? Let me know down in the comments section what you guys are thinking the Raiders' biggest need is. For me personally, it's defensive tackle. So in terms of my top edge rushers, I try to do the exact same thing like I did earlier. The top target, and my plan is not spend big on edge rusher. If you want an edge rusher, there are enough good edges in the 2023 NFL draft that the Raiders could potentially get at number 7. I'd rather you get an edge early in the draft, save a little bit of money because edges cost a lot in free agency. So top target, Lorenzo Carter. Why? He was great with Patrick Graham in 2021. Justin Houston, best value. Why is he best value? Yeah, he's 35 years old, but dude puts up numbers every single freaking year, and he also knows the AFC West. Sleeper, Rasheem Green. If you really want to go cheap, Rasheem Green kind of got lost a little bit on Houston last year. You need another body. You need another body, and then you got to also get somebody during the draft. Good value linebacker. I believe linebackers are very similar to running backs of the offense, right? Not that they're not important, and when you have a good linebacker, yes, it's great and all, but I do think out of all the positions on defense, linebacker in today's NFL is the least important. So for that reason, I'm not going to try to go out and break the bank. If we can get a Tremaine Edmonds or TJ Edwards on a contract-friendly deal, they're going to be both over $10 million. However, if you believe that it's bang for your buck, right, I'm always about getting a deal. If you can get those players and you're like, all right, man, that's a good deal, then it's worth it. If you're looking for best value, it's Kaiser White. I love Kaiser White's game. He's a super versatile linebacker. Yes, he's a little bit undersized. He can cover, though. I want a guy that can cover. Good value, Denzel Perriman. He played a lot better in the Patrick Graham system than anybody gave him credit for. And even though he didn't have as many tackles, he had more tackles for loss. The sleeper, Bobby Oke. Bobby Oke, he's going to be a dude that I think you could probably get around $4 million coming off a career year. Yes, he's coming off a career year in a Gus Bradley system, and Gus Bradley systems are usually a little bit more friendly to linebackers, but it's still a good player, and the Raiders need a lot of linebackers. Let's face it, they got basically nobody. We still got more steps to this plan here, but friendly reminder, if you need to stay up to date on your Raiders news, it's Twitter, Instagram, personal life, what I'm doing with Alex, the guys here at work. We're having a Christmas party. I know it's January, but we're doing a Christmas party this week. And then if you want even more live shows over on Locals, Raidersport.locals.com. Next thing we got to do for our free agency plan, you got to add a punt returner and kick returner. And, this one was kind of split between this and finding a tight end. I know Foster is going to be a tight end, but the Raiders, do they need to add another tight end? Yes, they absolutely do. But the reason why you need to do this, if you want to be a good football team, you need to be good in all aspects of the game. This year, the Raiders were not good in the kick return game. They were not good in the punt return game. And, yeah, you can point the finger at Tom McMahon. Told you, he wasn't going to be very good. But I also don't want this. I don't want Hunter Renfrow getting punts. It scares the hell out of me every time he catches the football. So in terms of some of these top players that you could potentially look at, yeah, I am. I'm going to look at Amir Abdullah. I'm going to look at Trent Taylor, DeAndre Carter. Not that I think that these guys are great, but they could be wide receiver 4s, and they could also be punt returners. And yeah, Amir Abdullah, if you want to get that guy, like I mentioned, Tom Brady, who gets the football really well, Amir Abdullah, maybe use him in a James White role. I know, it's crazy, but I've seen a lot of crazy things this year. Then the final thing that you need to do, you need to re-sign your key free agents. And I already mentioned one of those dudes and Josh Jacobs, and I said you're going to tag him. But to me, you have a priority list, okay? Your top priority list is these 7 guys. Andrew Billings, Jermaine Eluemunor, Rocky Sin, Daron Harmon, Matt Collins, Denzel Perriman. You're not going to have enough money to bring all of them back. But you do have to be able to show players that, you know what, man, we got your back. And if you can at least bring in some or bring back some of these dudes, that's the route you need to go. So if you want to look at my perfect free agency plan as everything in a whole, here it is. Take a screenshot, post it on social media. Don't be afraid to tag me in it. So take a good look at it, all right? You got it? You got the free agency plan? Now I want you to grade it. I'm always trying to get better. I'm trying to give you guys content that you enjoy, and I want you to grade my Raiders free agency plan. A, B, C, D, or F. If you love it, give it an A. If you hate it, give it an F. I can take it. Believe me, I'm doing this job for a long, long time, and I love how passionate you guys are. So let me know what you think about my Raiders' perfect free agency plan for this upcoming season.